Hello, fellow heart travelers. My name is Christopher Box, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be deep diving into the emotional underworld of human design. That murky space where you feel everything, react to everything, and start to wonder,
Is this even really mine?
if you've ever felt like an emotional puppet, like other people's moods are driving your life, then this video is for you. We're going to talk about what it really means to be an empath, especially when you don't know that's what you are, the confusion it causes, the harm it can do, and how you can begin to hold that energy instead of being completely consumed by it. I'm so glad that you're here. Now let's get into it. Do it. Put your back into it. You might have heard the word empath tossed around a lot lately. It's become kind of a spiritual buzzword used to describe anyone who feels things deeply, picks up on people's moods, or gets easily overwhelmed by emotional energy. But in human design, there is a little bit of a difference between being emotionally sensitive and being truly empathic. Usually emotional sensitivity is mistaken for energetic sensitivity. And for a lot of people, this difference isn't clear. In fact, and this is important, a ton of people out there are walking around with an open emotional center, amplifying all the emotions from everyone around them, completely unaware that that is what's happening. But here's the thing, they're not broken, they're not dramatic, they're not too much, they're just unconscious empaths. And trust me when I tell you, that is a really hard place to live. So let's talk about what happens when you're an empath and you don't know what's happening. When you're energetically open or emotionally sensitive, or both, and you've never been taught how to tell what's yours and what's not. It can feel like you're drowning in other people's emotions and energy. It's not just heavy, but disorientating. You feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster you never bought a ticket for. And the worst part, you can't get off the ride. That's what I call unconscious empathy. It's what happens when someone else's emotional energy moves through you and you don't know it's not yours. And the worst part, you can't get off the ride. This is what I call unconscious empathy. It's what happens when someone else's emotional energy moves through you and you don't know it's not yours. In human design, this experience is often rooted in an open or undefined emotional solar plexus. When the center is open, you're not just sensitive, you're amplifying someone else's emotional energy. You feel other people's emotions stronger than they do. And if you don't know what's happening, you collapse, you merge, you become the emotion. This is what I call collapsing into the emotional field. You lose your center and the emotion hijacks the wheel. You act it out, you absorb it, you mistake it as your own. I've often described this as being an emotional puppet. Someone else pulls the strings, and I'm just over here acting out their grief, rage, fear, like it's mine. And the wildest part, after I get back to my space, after I decompress, the emotion has dramatically lessened or it's even gone. That big, overwhelming feeling, it evaporates. And what's left is insight. That wasn't mine, it was theirs. That experience has taught me more about people than any book ever could. Now let's get real, because I think some of y'all really need to hear this. This is hard. This is not easy. This takes time. This takes falling on your face. This takes reacting and then slowly learning how not to. If you're watching this and thinking,
Oh God, this is me.
I collapse, I react, I feel insane sometimes. You're not broken, you're not crazy. You're just energetically sensitive in a world that has no clue how to support that. Now we're going to take it down, we're going to go a little deeper. What's the purpose of an empath? Are we just a cosmic joke, some clever punishment from the universe? Or are we here for something more? Here's something I've come to believe, something no one told me when I was drowning in all that emotional noise. Empaths are not broken. Empaths are instruments. We serve a very real purpose. When I started learning how to hold emotional energy without collapsing into it, without reacting, without trying to fix or absorb it, I noticed something. People around me started to feel better. They felt seen. They felt lighter. They felt like they just exhaled a breath that they didn't even know they were holding. And I realized empaths are like pressure release valves for emotionally defined people. We feel what others won't admit or don't even know how to feel. We absorb what others can't emotionally process. We tune into what's being pushed down or shoved aside. But here's the key. It only becomes healing when we know how to hold it without becoming it. Because when you can sit in someone else's storm and stay anchored in your own calm, something sacred happens. You become a mirror. You become a tuning fork, a quiet, grounded space where another person can finally meet themselves. Not the mask, not the performance, and certainly not the projection. Themselves. And that is powerful. That is spiritual service. And it's not loud, it's not flashy, but it is deeply transformative. So if you're an empath and you've only ever seen your sensitivity as a burden, please hear me when I tell you this. You're not here to drown in other people's emotions. You're here to help them see. You're here to help them feel. You're here to help them release. You're here to help people see their emotions, feel their emotions, and release them. You're not here to fix. You're here to witness. Can I get an amen up in here? But this can get even more confusing if you're also a highly sensitive person. HSPs feel everything: noise, light, energy, pressure, environments, facial expressions. If you have multiple open centers in your human design chart, like the spleen, the G center, the head, the root, you're probably dealing with both. And that combination, it can feel like you're walking through the world completely raw and unprotected. Of course you think you're an empath. Of course you feel overwhelmed. It can feel like you're losing your mind some days because it all blends together. Sensory overwhelm, emotional chaos, identity confusion. But once you start to track it, once you start journaling the people, the emotions, the situations that hit you the hardest, you start to see patterns. You start to sort the noise from your truth. I always recommend keep a journal. When you have a strong emotional reaction, good or bad, write it down. What did that experience teach me? Later, after you decompress, check in. Was that me? Was I amplifying something? What did that experience teach me? This is not just emotional debris. This is data. This is how you learn your own energetic signature. And I love the full circleness of this. It all leads back to one of the deepest truths I have come to find in the human design system. In order to know who you are, you have to know who you are not. All of this sensitivity, all of this confusion, it's not a flaw. It's the path. It's what leads you back to yourself. The empowered empath doesn't just feel everything. They know themselves so deeply, they no longer mistake someone else's energy or emotions for their own. And from that place, you can be of service. You can be a presence. You can finally rest in who you are without apology. And yes, 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 you absolutely can be both an empath and a highly sensitive person. In fact, I am. In my own chart, I've got 3 defined centers, a whole symphony of openness, including a completely open, undefined solar plexus. I've got an open head, ajna, root, and a mostly open G center. So trust me, I know what it feels like to ride those emotional waves and energetic waves and wonder if you'll ever find your own shoreline. But I want to remind you this. It takes practice, and it is a path, and this is a process. And the more you witness what's not yours, the closer you get to what is. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt like an emotional puppet? Do you see yourself as an empath, an HSP, or maybe both? What's one open center in your chart that's been hard to navigate? Have you ever tracked how your energy shifts after decompressing from someone else's energy? Drop your answers below and I will personally read and respond to every comment. If you'd like to keep following my journey, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. If you want to go deeper, you can book a session with me, or you can go over and explore my artwork, or come and visit us in Eureka Springs. Links in the description below. And remember, always follow your heart. Until next time, my friends.